Hey, people. So we are waiting for our guest today, but while she is trying to sign in, I want to introduce myself. I am Yvonne McBride. This is Yvonne McBride Lit Life. And in this space, we encourage, we support, we motivate women of the African diaspora to follow their dreams, to create the life they always dreamed about living. And yes, so if you have new dreams of traveling the world, of becoming an expat, of writing your novel, writing your poetry, or just designing, in the middle of designing your new next life, this is the channel that you want to be in. And she has been added to the stage. Today, the dreams of our guest today have led her to Mexico for the last 4 years. I am ecstatic to introduce this woman, this diva, to you all. Her name is Diva Green, and we're going to get started. So, Diva, introduce yourself to the people, please.
Hello, everyone. I'm Diva Green. I'm the CEO and founder of I Got Your Black, and I am super happy to be here.
Yay! And I'm super happy to have you. Okay, so first, confetti, throw confetti. We want to celebrate your birthday.
Yes!
Birthday week, your birthday month. Diva turned blah 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 years old this week. And we want to celebrate that milestone. Please, first of all, I want to just start by telling people about the party. Tell us about the party that you had that they celebrated with you for your birthday.
Okay, let's just start off with, because there's still some decor. I'm on the porch, and this is where we had it. Okay. I'm going to try to show y'all something real quick. So, if you look, if you look right behind me here, yes. These are photos that were taken of me the day of my birthday in the morning. Oh. And when I came back to the house, they were on this, and they say "Feliz cumpleaños, Diva." Had the whole what do you call it? The decor. I had a piñata, as you can see right here. These is where the balloons were. All the kids, like a celebration. It was a whole experience. So the morning I woke up at 6:45 a.m. Essentially, I have a home. What do they call it? A homestay situation. So I live with someone that is local to the community who's from here or lives here, and she basically woke me up with. They have this song, the happy birthday song here. It's called Las Mañanitas, and so
she froze.
She played the music. I'm like, what is going on? Why is it? Oh wait. Oh, sorry. Did I get disconnected?
Yeah, a little bit. You're freezing, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So essentially, woke up to the Mañanita song playing. And then I came back to the house later that day, and it was like a whole party, decorated table, everything. I had 3 cakes. It was just a situation.
3 cakes?
It was a Monday. It was how 3 cakes. Do it? The other one was this zanahoria cake, which is a carrot cake that I really love. And then there was another one that was like a vanilla situation. Like I had a piñata. It was a whole thing. Okay, I did not expect this. I told my mom, and she was like, "Okay, so I want to celebrate my birthday there."
Yes. Like you say, ain't no party like an Afro-Mexican party.
Okay, listen. And the only reason to even stop, because we didn't stop till 2 a.m. on a Monday, is because it was a Monday. It would have kept
going. Yes. Okay, so we started with the party. I wanted to start with the celebration because you live in Costa Chica. But I wanted to start with that because when people think about living in Mexico, they think about hardship. They think about, a lot of things that we don't really know until you get over there and live the life, right? Mm-hmm. So you've been partying since you've been in Mexico. You've been living a lit life since you've been there. But tell us about your journey from Playa to Costa Chica.
So I moved to Playa in 2021 July, and my thought process then was like, I'm going to come here. It's going to be a nice quick landing. you know, my boyfriend at the time was not a Spanish speaker. And so like I wanted to be a place that he could ease in. Playa is like, at least these days, it's like a little Miami. And so like you have your Office Depot, the Walmart, all of the American like comforts are there. And so the intention was to be there for a little while. And we chose Playa specifically because there was a Black community there. There's a whole community of Afro immigrants or expats, whatever folks want to call it, that are basically people who have either decided to be there for a short stay and just visit as a nomad or whatever, or people who have decided to immigrate and live there. And so we were like, okay, we're going to start at this place that feels like a nice soft landing. And then like years went by and I kept renewing my lease. And I would visit.
So what was the original plan? Did you originally plan to stay there for an extended amount of time?
I was supposed to be in Mexico for 6 months tops. I'm not supposed to be here right now.
Yes.
And here I am. But we would come to visit La Costa Chica because the plan was always to visit La Costa Chica or to come and spend some time here. I wanted to be here for a few months, but I had a remote job that was not going to allow me to have moments where my Wi-Fi was not Wi-Fi-ing.
Right.
And so I decided to stay in that part of Mexico, but then come over here and visit here. And then maybe like lately I've been trying to figure out, okay, is it time to make my move out of Mexico? But before I did that, I was like, I have to come and live in the place that I visit the most and just experience what it's like to live here. And, you know, I've been coming here for over 3 years now. And I said that I knew this area, but what I've learned in the last 6 months of living here, like I didn't know a thing. Yeah. The trips have gotten so much better. Everything is just so much deeper in terms of experiences because now I know what it's like to live in an Afro-Mexican town.
Hey, Marissa. So people in the chat, we can't see you unless you speak. So just like Black people, you know, just like your mama taught you, when you come into the room, speak. We're happy to have you. Thanks for joining us, Ms. Price.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to talk about the trips. We're going to talk about your life there. Let's get into, if people are coming here to talk about I Got Your Black, tell them how the origin story of I Got Your Black, why you started it. Just briefly, let's touch on that.
Yeah. So I'll try to be quick. Essentially, I was a college student that was dealing with learning about white supremacy, learning about systemic, oppression and all that stuff. And I was angry and very sad. I was reading James Baldwin and I was upset. And I decided in my naivete that I was going to leave the US because that's where the problems were, right? I was going to leave the US and I was going to go to Europe, of all places. So naive. And so I decided to go to Europe. And while I'm there, the times I'm there, the times that I see Black people, at least where I was in the hotel of this place in Paris, like the front desk people. And I saw I met one Black girl that was also like backpacking or two. And then I also met, I seen some African vendors running from the police. And so that was the times that I would see Black people in my travels. And so when I came back, I decided that first of all, I was very depressed because I was like, oh, I just had this kind of good summer. It was like, well, it was actually a really great summer. Like I had decided to disconnect. I turned off my New York Times app. I turned off everything that would like give me any news. And as soon as I come back to the States, the first thing I see is Mike Brown on my television screen. So, or not just like the news, like talking about what had happened to him. And so I'm feeling really sad. I'm feeling really depressed about everything. I'm also feeling very like post-travel blues. You know, when you go on a great vacation and you're just like super sad because you're like, dang, I should still be there, whether it's drinking the margaritas or doing whatever. Like I should be still eating this, pasta that I had in Paris or in Italy, because I went around to a bunch of places. And so I was like, okay, how am I going to bridge that gap? But at the time, I didn't really know that's what I was trying to do. And so fast forward to December, I think it was 4th, 2014. We had learned about the death of Eric Garner, or the fact that Eric Garner would not receive justice, that the policeman that murdered him was not going to be criminally charged. And so people in New York are taken to the streets. They're upset. And Diva Green is in an art studio feeling like sad, but not knowing what to do, but also feeling like, why am I not protesting? Harriet would have left me back there because I'm not outside. And so I draw something. And basically, it looks like a fist. Now, it's infused with what they call mola in Panama. Okay. And being from Panama, I included something that's a part of my culture. Mola is actually specific to the indigenous community of Panama. More on that later. But essentially, I drew this piece. My friend's like, oh, Diva, what does this mean? And I'm like, even though I might be Afro-Panamanian or Black of Panamanian descent, it means that I support you. Like, I got your back. And then almost as if like instantly in that moment, I got the idea. I was like, I got your Black. I was like, I know what I want to do with the rest of my life. Literally, I was like, I know what I want to do. I want to travel
with the rest of my life in that moment.
Like in that moment, I was literally like, I know what I want to do. Like, I know what I want to do with my life. This is it.
Yes.
And I was like, I want to travel and document Black culture around the world. And the rest is history.
Listen, because we know we are everywhere, right? People of African descent are everywhere in every country, in every hiding space, everywhere, right? And if I say in the caption, like, if you're anything like me, that when you travel, that's where you want to see. You want to go see where the African people live, how they get down, how they party. That's where you want to be around those people. So that was the brilliant idea that you had. And go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, I mentioned the Europe part though, because that last day in Paris, I bumped into a neighborhood and I saw so many Black people outside of those other few times. I saw so many Black and I was like, oh my gosh, why is this my last day? Where am I? And so that was kind of like the impetus. Like, that was like the thing that disturbed me, because I was like, wait, if I had known that these people were like probably 7-8 blocks from where I was staying, I would have been here.
Yes, I would have been here. Right. So even before you made the move to Mexico, you traveled to other, you travel and explore other areas, other countries where Black people live.
Yeah. So the first place that I would say I was intentional about exploring the Black community was, I would say, Cuba. So I don't remember exactly what year this was, but I was like, I want to go and I want to find all of the Black people in Cuba. And it wasn't that hard. Havana is full of Black people, even though when you Google Cuban people, that's not necessarily what you see. But I went to Havana and I essentially went on 3 different trips and pretty much gathered all of the information I could around Black spaces in Havana, businesses that were, owned for, in the context of Cuba, ownership is weird, but owned by or led by Black folk. Right. And so, I went from there. Obviously, went to Panama, which is where my family's from. Did some exploring in Jamaica too. But really, the goal with I Got Your Black has always been about going to the places that you don't necessarily see folks, or where for instance, like Jamaica is a place where folks go to Montego Bay. And so I was like, I'm going to go to St. Elizabeth and see what's happening in that part of Jamaica. So, yeah.
Okay. So now you're in Mexico, right? You're in Playa, right? When did you start thinking about, I want to bring people here to explore what I've seen?
Yeah. So immediately after getting to Playa in July, and maybe like October for my birthday, I came to La Costa Chica. And I know I posted a video. I don't know if it was like a year later or that same year, but I posted a video, and this was like my first viral video. Like, I had some videos like do well, and a couple people seen it, but like a million people seen that video. And I was like, well, now what do we have here? What is going on? This is so exciting. Now, originally my goal when I first went there was to figure out what are the businesses, just like I had done in Cuba. So people could check out a guide, go and explore on their own.
Right. So you're creating like a green book, like a international green book.
Exactly. And what's funny is my name is Diva Green. So that's, I'm always like, God, you just knew what you was doing, right? But I was creating this green book essentially. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this, but sorry, y'all. If y'all hear the roosters, I live in real Mexico. So y'all going to hear the roosters from time to time.
That's what we came here for. We came to get the authentic experience.
Listen, I got the horchata in my cup, okay? Animated for my birthday, some what was left over. But I said to myself, like, people were really excited about it. And I was like, what's going on? I don't know. I posted this video and really apprehensively, I was like, I'm gonna just post this thing that is cool to me, but it wasn't really for anyone's approval. Right. And then folks were asking me about coming, and I was explaining. It was that sounds very complicated. Can you bring me? And so the next time I came to Costa Chica, the second year, that was the order. I started to ask folks, would you all even be interested in having people come here? Because it's one thing for me to come and, I reached out to some folks and organizers who essentially brought me into the community, but it's another thing to bring 10 plus other people. And folks were for the most part, the resounding answer was yes, especially Black folk. I want to meet my cousins. That was kind of the answer that I got from folks. And so, yeah, I decided, I was like, okay. But every place I would go to, the question was after, do you all want folks here? And, some people had their apprehension. They don't want this area to become another Puerto Vallarta where people don't have ownership of the place that they're from. But I think people are excited to have that connection between meeting other parts of the diaspora.
Right. And just like you said, we travel to meet them. Were they welcoming in these areas?
Absolutely. People would come up to me, and even to this day, people would come to me and say, primo, and they'll point their skin like, somos primos, like literally say that. And so, yeah, people are very excited, I think, to meet other Black folk from other places, because outside of this particular area, now they're having some more migration from places like Honduras and Haiti. But before this, there was really no Black folk that they saw from anywhere else. And that migration is happening like within the last year. So they wouldn't see anyone that was not an Afro-Mexican that was a Black person. So to see someone like myself, they get very excited.
Okay, so you were sponsoring, you were hosting trips to Costa Chica, right? What was the deciding factor to live there? You moved, you uprooted yourself from Playa. There. Why? What was the reason? Because people usually they want to go to San Miguel. We want the creature comforts. We're not going to go too much. So what made you make the choice to go to a rural coastal area?
So on my first trip, we came to the town that I live in now, Cocoyantes. And when I would visit La Costa Chica is a huge region that spans across 2 states of Mexico. So it spans across Oaxaca and Guerrero. And I would typically visit the parts of the Oaxaca side and parts of the Guerrero side. The most famous town for Afro-Mexican people is called Guajinicuilapa. And so I would visit Cuaji for sure. And for the most of my trips, like I would visit that particular area. But right before the trip, they were like, you have to go to Coyantes. If you think people in Cuaji are Black, like you got to go to where they like black. That's what they basically tell us. Moreno. Like ellos son negros. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. And a last add-on to the trip, I added Coyantes, and it happened to be the place that folks were most excited about. Like people were like, whoa. And so in my March trip, same experience. Like Coyantes is the place that even myself, I was like, wow, like this town, I've been doing this for some years now, but this town is really like, I feel like I'm with my aunties and my uncles and cousins.
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to come and move here because, again, like I don't have the things that was tying me down to like, a job that required me to be somewhere at a certain time and have the most perfect internet. Right now, the internet is working, but it don't always do this. And so I said, yeah, let's explore.
Yes. So the transition from Playa to what town are you in?
Coyantes.
The transition, how did you do it?
Okay. So there's a woman here, Mayra Herrera. She's the director of essentially it's I don't know how to say this word in English, but it's essentially when women go through violence, they go to her office to get support that they need, whether it's to like file a complaint or a charge against, whoever. And so that organization does a lot of workshops in different communities, really for the purposes of having women know their rights, right? And so Maida has been really integral in helping me connect with this community and really to, when we have the visit, she's the person that essentially is our ambassador. She's the person that speaks with the folks and shares the stories of Coyantes. And on our March trip, I was like, Maida, I think I want to live in Coyantes. How does that work? Now, this is the crazy part. Coyantes does not have a place there aren't places where you can rent.
Does she live there?
Yeah, she lives here. Okay. She's from Coyantes. So she, I met her through the instancia, through the activism, or it's through through that organization, right? And so she used to be the person that would bring us to Coyantes and have us explore and do all the organizing over here, right? And so I'm like, Maida, I want to move to Coyantes, I want to even try for like 2-3 months. I don't know. I think I'm leaving Mexico soon, but I need to just see what it's like to experience being here. I said 2 months, right? It's been 6, almost 7 months. Just put that out there. Anyway, to find my place, like again, I told you I'm in a homestay. So there are places to rent here. Like there's one place, but essentially I would have had to like furnish the whole thing. And like, in Playa del Carmen, you can get a place furnished or whatever.
Right.
And me being here for 2 months, I'm like, I'm not really trying to furnish nothing. I'm just like, I'm trying to come experience it, but like, I don't want to have to put too much. Right? Yeah. Exactly. Especially if I don't know what my next move is.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a gentleman that he's a teacher. He's from the Carolinas, and he's a black man who's a teacher here. How he got here, I don't even know. But he essentially went with me door to door to ask people if they were renting a space in their home. So I literally got here because, yes, like if they were renting a
knocking on doors.
Knocking on doors. Now, obviously, it's a small town, so everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
But they were like, oh, go to La Secra's house. She doesn't live with anyone, and she has that big place. And we came to, this was like door number 2. It wasn't that many doors, but door number 2. And she's La Secra was like, yeah, sure. They call her Secra because she's the secretary of the school, and that's the name that they call her, right? But she was like, yeah, you're more than welcome. Stay as long as you like. I'm like, okay, let's talk rent. Let's talk prices and whatever. And she's like, oh no, you just give me a regalo when you leave. I'm like, no, ma'am. Like, I had to talk to my therapist about this. So I'm like, you don't understand. Like,
I need you to give you money. How much money do you want?
And it needs to be a set amount on a date because this is not working for me.
It's not a gift.
We eventually got to figure that out. But when I first got here, it was very much like this is where you at. You just here's your room, here's your fan. Like, enjoy. I would come, and I always tell people I can't go hungry here because they're always going to bring you food. Oh. Like somebody cooks something and they're going to bring you a plate of it. There's no way you can go hungry here.
I love it. So it sounds like that's the biggest difference. That's one of the biggest differences from you and Playa, right?
Absolutely.
You had in Playa, I don't know if you had to, but it seems like it is a big community of Black expats there, but you might have to find your community, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So in terms of like
just there, you're just community is here, and they welcomed you as soon as you got there because the town is so small.
Exactly. And they would ask you like, oh, so how did you get here? And the moment I mentioned mine, they're like, oh, okay. And then doors were right open, right?
Right.
Yeah, like in Playa. So the thing about Playa is like I said, there was this Black community, and it was really beautiful to be in a space with folks who have also decided to make the departure, mostly from the US, but from other places too. But what was really hard about Playa is that to connect with the local community, it felt a little bit more challenging. I don't think it's just because it's small. Playa in general, like most of the folks who live in Playa that are Mexicano aren't actually from Playa. They're from Tabasco or from Chihuahua. They're from all over Mexico. Right. And they often work in the hotel zone for a few months at a time and then go back to their respective places. And so it was really difficult to build community because you'd make a friend, you go to the beach a couple times, and then that person is going back to their place and they're probably not going to come back, period.
Right. So it's a transient place.
Yeah, both for the digital nomad community or the immigrant community and the Mexicano community.
Right. Okay, so we're going to talk about your life there in a second, but I wanted for people who are coming here to talk about your trips, right? Mm-hmm. And a upcoming really soon trip, and let's talk about that. So what is the tour about this month?
Yeah, so each experience is hosted during a time of celebration here in Mexico. And so the October journey, it focuses on the Afro-Mexican experience of Dia de los Muertos. Here in this region, they call it Dia de Todos Santos, All Saints Day, which is really the Catholic name. And so it's really the time where folks honor their loved ones who have departed. And so the entire trip is really surrounding the details around that. Of course, learning about the general information of the Afro-Mexican community, but also learning and then participating in some of those traditions. So like we build an altar. If you're someone who's like interested in that, we get to learn about, how they prepare their altars. And we also have an opportunity to honor our loved ones who have passed on and things like that, because that day is particularly all about celebrating their loved ones who have departed. And so, yeah, that's that particular trip. We go to experience the foods that they eat throughout that time. Really, the point of the trip is that we get to learn about the community and see everything through their lens. So I think like if you go to Mexico and you go to Oaxaca City, you'll see things more through the maybe indigenous or the mestizo lens, that blending of cultures. But here, this particular experience is really focused more on the Afro and indigenous, because a lot of the the community is very much fused, and so we get to learn about what lends to the Afro side, what lends to the indigenous side, what's like this in between liminal space that we don't know, and so we get to learn all of that through the backdrop of Dia de los Muertos.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty, the details about food. You're learning to cook with who? You're learning to make what with what?
Yes, so we get to learn about just like everyone loves a good taco now. Tortillas, the maíz, that corn is really like such an important part of Mexico. Like there's no Mexico without tortillas. I don't care what nobody say, it's just not the case. And so we get to learn about the history between like how the indigenous folks came to make corn essentially so that it would be digestible and things like that, but also to make it into what we know now as the tortilla. And so you get to make the tortilla with the tias, the aunties.
Yeah.
And then also like we go to a bunch of different markets and try the different foods that folks eat here. So like there's some queso, the queso Oaxaca, or the queso that they eat, especially on the coast specifically, is like it's literally chef's kiss. Yes, hello rooster. Y'all hear that rooster?
Yes.
Okay, you do hear. Okay, yes. Okay.
Co-signing.
Yes, right. It's delicious. You get to try the different drinks that they make. Like I mentioned, horchata. Horchata has like it's a drink that comes from the Afro community that migrated here, and so there are so many different elements. We get to see how the Afro-Mexican community connects to the rest of the diaspora. There's so many different connections between how folks live here. One of the things that we do on one day is go to this national park that's home to the one of the Afro-Mexican communities in this national park. And we get to see what those connections are like. So unfortunately, some of the connections are sad. So like there are things like, I would say relation to Flint, like having your water system be contaminated just to support other parts of the country or the state and things like that. So there's a lot of that, but there's also the focus on the celebration. Like we mentioned, Dia de los Muertos. There's a time where they do this dance, and that dance there are remnants of it in Panama, where my family's from. So we have, and then there's also remnants of it in Trinidad, and even in some parts of and in New Orleans. So we get to see all of those different connections. Food is a really big anchor of the trip, exploring the ecology or the diversity of the nature. And the cool thing about this is that everyone, like, I am just a connector of bridging the gap between the folks. The people that are leading you on this experience, the people that you are going to explore with, are people that are directly from the community. So I think that's probably the most exciting part of this, is that everyone that you're touring with are people who are actually from here that can tell you about the place.
So she's saying it. The things that things that she is saying, you can experience these people, what they do, what the tours are, through her Instagram. It is linked in here in the beneath this video. And basically what Diva has done is made the inroads for you, right? On this trip. She's made the connections for you. So you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to, explore. You don't have to make your own itinerary. She has done this for you, and she has made the transport there easier for you. So if you are interested in joining her trip to Costa Chica for Day of the Dead, for you gringos, that's what she was describing. Then check out her website. I Got Your Black website. It is also linked under this video. I did want to ask specifically about the how to get there for people who are traveling and not in Mexico. How would you suggest they get there?
So the two entry points are going to be Acapulco or Puerto Escondido. Now, I'm not going to advise Acapulco because I have not traveled through that part of Mexico. But what folks typically do is come to Puerto Escondido Airport, and then you have to make your way. The first, like I said, it's a region it's a region that starts in Oaxaca and it ends in Guerrero. So that first point is going to be maybe about 30 minutes outside of Puerto Escondido, is that first town that you'll see. Excuse me, my little allergies here. Thank you. Yeah, and so that very first point is going to be through Puerto Escondido. Now, the one thing I will say is there's no direct flight You do have to fly from Mexico City to get to Puerto Escondido. Pardon, they're doing some construction next door. My allergies are feeling it. But yeah, if you fly from Mexico City to Puerto Escondido, that's an hour flight, so it's not that long. You just have to. It's a travel day.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for joining us. Anna says that she is interested in relocating to Mexico, and La Costa Chica is in her mind. So tell Anna what she should do to prepare for life in Costa Chica area.
Yeah. So it really depends on where you're going to live. Like if you're trying to go all out like me and do the rural thing, be prepared to do the rural thing. In rural communities, the internet goes out, the lights go out. It might mean that you have to travel to get certain things. So for instance, like electronics and things like that, you probably got to go somewhere if you want to get that. But if you live in a town, like there's this one town, which is where we stay at when we host the guests, it's called Pino Tepa Nacional. And in Pino, you can pretty much find everything. Like the internet really goes out. Like it might like drop in a like not be as powerful. But the light and things like that, it got to probably be a storm for stuff to go out that way. So it really depends. Like you can find your middle ground. I decided to go all out just because I really wanted to be where the people were. But yeah, I would say definitely connect with someone that's from this particular area and ask them questions about what it's like to be there, and just see if like I always tell people to start with like a tester and come visit and to see if it's something that you can do long term.
So Anna, let us know if you have been there to the region, and if you have a city or town picked out, and maybe we can get some specific details for you.
Yes, and I love that she mentioned the tamales. Like, yeah, that's I always tell people when you eat tamales, if they're wrapped in banana, know that that's a beautiful blend between Afro and indigenous flavors.
Yes, yes, and so back to the trip.
Mm-hmm.
When did you have your info session yet?
No, so the next info session is actually tomorrow. I can drop a link for that.
Yes,
for you all. But the next info session is tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I can drop a link for that. But yeah, I was gonna say another thing. If you're someone who enjoys art, like that's a huge part of this experience. We go to the one of 3 museums and the largest one that focuses on the Afro-Mexican community. And then we also have an opportunity to visit the home of a local artist who's like, she's not in her 70s, and she's one of those folks that are actually getting her flowers while she's still around.
Yes.
It's really beautiful. So I always tell people, if you have an opportunity to buy some art from this woman right now, you're going to want to do that because like her work is just exploding. She's going to be she just did the Venice Biennale in April.
Okay.
And she's going to have this whole exhibit focused around her in São Paulo, Brazil. So she's blowing up is the point.
Yeah, so get it now.
Yes, right. Like if you're like, I wish I had this painting from Gaudi, like get Da Vinci, whatever. This is Mexico version. Like get it right now.
I'm not and these trips, you're explore the art, you explore the food, you explore the history, and you get to relax. You'll get to go to different towns that you would not go on your own. They're not touristy spots. And you have, Diva as your host. So it's a good time.
Yes.
And if you're not prepared to go this year, when's your next trip?
So our next trip is going to be for the next Dia de los Muertos. I typically do. I've been doing 3 trips. I did 3 trips this year, but our next one isn't actually going to be until October of next year. So the 30th through the November 5th of next year.
Okay. So if you can't go this October, get on the list. Reach out to Diva, see what's happening for 2025. And yes, we want to make sure those people who wanted information about the trip get that information. Now, let's talk about your life in Costa Chica. What are the good parts? What are the not so good parts?
Costa Chica was the bomb that I needed. Like it was like literally it was a hug.
Yeah.
It was, a rub on the shoulder, a pat on the back. It was exactly what I needed when I needed it. I thought I was coming here and I was going to make my way to Colombia or Brazil or something. But I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I've been here for a long time because I really needed the love that I receive here and that I have been able to experience in this particular community. Um, I'm obviously going to always talk about the food. The food is always like, there was some leftovers for my birthday that I literally was like, I put it in the back of the refrigerator. That's fine. Like my American was hiding food and stuff because they be sharing. But I was like, I don't want anyone to eat this. I want to eat this later.
Birthday
right. I had this morning and I was like, oh, this was so good. Like, it's just, yeah, the food is amazing. The people are incredible. To be quite honest with you, the biggest challenge for me is like, I would say Wi-Fi. Like, I really need to be connected for even the work that I do for myself. And so sometimes that can be a challenge. Sometimes the internet goes out when it feels like, like they have Amazon, but it's Amazon Mexico and it might come in like, 2 weeks or whatever. So I haven't ordered anything from there since I've been here. But like you have those things that, people say are comfortable. But for me, the only thing that I ever am like, is the Wi-Fi. But outside of that, like I really enjoy it. When I go to sleep, I wake up and hear the roosters crowing or whatever. Like it's a beautiful place.
So talk about transportation.
Yes. Okay. So like I said, I live in a pueblito, which is a very tiny, tiny, tiny town. Con permiso. Perdón. So the town where everything is at, which is where folks stay at during the trip, or one of the towns. We stay in two towns, Puerto Escondido, and then we go to Pino Tempa. Now, when we're in Pino, that's the town that has all of the things. So, for instance, like I'm about to after this call make my grocery list, and like any groceries that I can't get here, i.e., like soy sauce or like special cereals, like I'm gonna get that when I go there. So, transportation wise, there's a bus that comes every 30 minutes. And by bus, it's not a bus. It's
it's shuttle, like a shuttle.
I can't even call it that because it's an open air thing truck that you get on the back of, and it's like it has like
a cart.
On the top. Yeah, something like that. But you can sit down. It's a whole. You have seats and stuff like that. If you Google, one of y'all should Google Pasajera Oaxaca, and you'll find it. But essentially, it's like an open air truck, and so you have to like I have to get back at a certain time because the last pasajera that leaves from Pino leaves at 7. So if I don't get that, I gotta take a taxi. Instead of paying $4, like $4, I'm gonna end up paying like $20 to get back home. And you see how that works here. So I try not to miss the pasajera so that I can come back on time. But yeah, transportation can be a little challenging.
So Anna says she's actually from Colima. So it's also I'm assuming, Anna, that you speak Spanish, so you should be able to I'm assuming, maybe I'm assuming wrong, but I'm assuming that you have to speak Spanish in your area. Is that correct?
It's so funny you mention that. That's another part of the advice I would give for anyone who's moving. Like you definitely need to, if you're going to live in La Costa specifically, you need to have some basic Spanish. Like I will say though, if you're trying to improve your Spanish, so like I grew up speaking Spanish, but like I always say I grew up speaking Spanglish. In Panama, they do like Caribbean patois mixed with like with Spanish. And so Spanglish was the name of the game. But since I've got here, I've really improved my Spanish so much to where like the little things that I would forget, like it's gotten so much better. No, it's incredible. No, it made it like in Playa del Carmen, people just like that I tried, which I was like, no, I actually speak Spanish. Like,
right.
But they wouldn't like
correct. You needed to improve. Exactly.
No, there would be certain things that I'm always like, please, por favor, corrígeme, correct me, because I need to make sure like my issue is tenses. Like I'll be talking in the present tense, I'm talking about the future. Usually the future tense always messes me up. I don't know. I just, I didn't think my aunt was an English teacher, and while the kids were learning English in Panama, I was learning Spanish. And so I think I missed the weeks where she talked about future tense. Right. I always say that because I'd never like those words. I'd be like, I don't know that word. I don't know how to conjugate that. But
so can you get away? Can English speakers only get away if they live closer to Oaxaca? Like in towns closer to Oaxaca?
No. Yes, I think if you're closer to Oaxaca City, Because like I said, we're in Oaxaca State. I'm in Oaxaca State, but if you're like in Oaxaca City, I think you can definitely get away. There are a lot of folks who are from the states that live in Oaxaca. That said, Oaxaca City has been going through a lot of uh, there's a lot of like dismay with folks moving to Oaxaca City right now, just because like a lot of gringos have been coming and essentially like not adapting adapting to the culture. It's been a lot of gentrification happening. And so folks are really, rightly so, frustrated about it. And so if you go there, I think the best thing to do, I don't tell people to not visit or to not go. What I say to you is make sure that you are prepared to learn Spanish. Like you shouldn't even the English should be your second language when you move to Oaxaca.
Right.
Okay. Like you need to really be prepared to be trying and to immerse yourself. Yeah. Like don't go there thinking that you like about to bring your American anything. You need to immerse yourself.
All your privilege. Leave all your privilege at the door.
Behind.
Leave it behind. Mm-hmm. So Anna, anybody else who's watching, I see we have a few. Drop in, say hello. It is a conversation. So if you have any questions about the region, about her trips, about Diva herself, please drop them in the comments. Anna says, just a suggestion for historical info. As an adult, I learned about Yanga. Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. And a hero, leader of the first slavery revolt in North America in the state of Veracruz.
Yeah, so it's so crazy. I still have to go to Veracruz. I feel so bad. And that's not, see, every time I think, I'm like, okay, I'm going to make my exit out of Mexico and like just come and visit here and there. I'm like, oh, I have more to do. Like, I need to go to Veracruz. I need to go to this town that still celebrates Juneteenth. Like, I have so much to do.
Wow. What town is that?
Don't get me to lie to you. I do not remember. It's in the northern, I think it's in Sinaloa.
Okay.
No, it's in Jalisco. It's in Jalisco. I don't remember exactly specifically. But it's in another town in northern Mexico, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's north. And yeah, they celebrate Juneteenth, and like I saw some pictures and folks were playing patty cake and like
wow.
You only ever see that in black parts of Mexico. So yes.
You're like Zora Neale Hurston. You're an anthropologist.
That's the biggest honor. That is the goal. Like
you are an African diaspora anthropologist. I love it.
Thank you. I was just going to say, Anna, we actually learn about Yanga when we go to the museum. So the director actually speaks about it. I haven't been to Veracruz, but we do get the opportunity to learn about Yanga and what he did for the first free North American town.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so more pluses about living there before we get into it, because I know, well, we'll get into it in a second, but the community is welcoming. Did they teach you how to cook? Okay, so you said the food is good. Are they teaching you how to cook better? Are they teaching you?
Listen, now I always tell people, it don't matter what country I'm in, I'm going to get somebody's auntie, grandma, or something to invite me into their kitchen.
Yes.
Every time. When I go back home, what I'm not going to be doing is crying over the fact that I can't eat this food again. So even though, it's not going to be the same because ingredients are different in terms of like just be growing somewhere else and all that good stuff. But the first thing I did within the first 2 weeks I was here, I learned how to make something that they call empanuchadas, which is specific to Guerrero, the coastal community in Guerrero. It's like this like sweet bread. It has like, sometimes I don't know words in English, but like, yeah, it's basically this sweet bread. It tastes really delicious. It was the first thing I learned how to make. I learned how to make some cheese. Now I don't got cows in the States, but this cheese is so good. And like,
you learn how to make fresh cheese?
I can make fresh cheese.
From cow milk?
From cow milk. I milked a cow. My hands were hurting, but I did milk a cow. Haven't done it again. I did it like 3 times. And I was like, this is a lot. But if you want to bring the milk, I can make the cheese. Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So like, and then, all of the different foods here, that's the thing. I learned how to make some mole. Now, there are certain things that I leave to the experts. Like mole, for instance, I let the expert, I learned how to make it, but like,
the directions.
Like, exactly. I know the directions, but I'm probably going to, before I go back home, I'm going to make sure that I kind of perfect my mole so I can like bring back my peppers and all that and be able to make it, because it's one of the things I'm going to miss the most. That chicken from yesterday was mole. Chicken mole.
Yeah. I've learned I only like certain kind of mole too.
Okay.
But we had
me too. Sorry. No, I was gonna say, like, I learned that I don't actually like sweet mole, but on the coast they make like spicy, more savory mole. Yeah.
Yes. That's yep. I think that's what it is. I don't like the sweet. It tastes like yep. But okay, so back up for a second. We met. How I met Diva. How we met. We met in San Miguel for Michelle's influencer weekend at Casa Am, and we went on. We connected really fast, quickly. She was my roommate in Casa Am, and we went to the vineyard, right? So we ate down at the vineyard. Tell me what that. Tell me what that was. That delicious. What was it? I can't remember. It was so good. It wasn't mole,
right? I can't remember. It was barbacoa. I think it was a barbacoa, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And the barbacoa here is different too. That's another thing. So every place has their like flavors.
Yes. Oh my God. I was like, I have to go back to San Miguel to eat it. Like I have to go to get it. It was so good.
Or you can come here and try how they make it here.
Okay. We'll do. It's on the list. Okay. So once we get there, right? Once you're living there, you said the internet is one of the most challenging things. What about because I know it's hurricane season, and you're on the coast. So how has that been?
Ooh, I just went through my first hurricane. Now, I'm from Brooklyn. You know, my family's from Panama, but I'm from Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Now, I spent my summers in Panama, but for whatever reason, now that I think about it, I don't ever remember going through a storm. And I went to Panama during hurricane season every year.
You probably did, but you were younger, so you don't remember.
Exactly. I was protected. I was fine. Here, on the other hand, I was grown enough to know what was going on, and I was shook. Okay, there was a hurricane that was
shook,
like for real.
Yes.
I'm talking. We had to evacuate. There was Hurricane John, this most recent one, was supposed to land as a Category 3 hurricane in like basically 20 minutes from where I live. Now there's a river where I live. And the hurricane ended up going a little bit further north to a part of Guerrero. But with it came a huge storm surge. And so the river that is like right behind me, I could walk to it in 5 minutes, flooded. And we had to leave the house because we had to go to higher ground to that way, just in case the river would basically rush us and take us away. Now, there were some people that... my understanding is that this particular storm wasn't as bad as it can be, but there were a lot of people who lost a lot of things in their home, like their entire homes were soaking wet, and it was pretty scary. Like we had to evacuate maybe 2 or 3 times during that few days, and it rained from Saturday, I forget what number date, to like the Saturday 2 weeks later. So there was literally a period where it rained every day for 2 weeks, and I'm saying like only one day the sun came out where it's as bright as it is now. For the most part, it was like doom and gloom for weeks. So yes.
So when you say evacuate, where are you going?
Oh, so there's a part of town that sits on a higher, like higher ground. Right. And so we just had to go to those houses over there, or to go to like there's like this basketball court area that sits on that higher ground area. And so we just had to be there. You know, it's covered by a roofing, like a roof. And so you wouldn't get rained on. Sorry about the roof. So y'all, fortunately, he's just co-signing because it was horrific, honestly. But fortunately, the one of the people that Maida, the person that connected me to this community, she actually has a house that's a little bit further in and closer to where the higher ground is. Okay. And so we were able to go there. There was some water that came into her house, but we were able to kind of stay there and wait out to see if we had to go to a even higher place. But 2 days the river flooded. And when I say flood, I mean like right above my, right like mid calf, like walking in that kind of water. Yeah, it was serious. I having to put my suitcase on top of my bed just in case the water came in. Fortunately, water actually didn't get into this house, but we were nervous about that. And so, yeah, it was a whole, and the only reason it didn't, because she has like this wall that she has like surrounding her place of the water rushes to other parts instead of coming into her area. But yeah, a lot of people like their home was soaked.
How long did it take for the water to recede?
It was about 2 weeks. So what happened was there was the hurricane, and then there was another storm, and it just no, let me back up. Sorry. So the water like subsided maybe like a day or two, but in terms of like there being a storm threat and the water coming back really quickly, so like whenever the storm would come back, the water would rise again. That was like a course of 2 weeks.
Wow.
But it was 2 days of the water just being high, and then it resided, and then it subsided or whatever, and then waiting for the rain to just stop.
Yes.
Yeah. My dad kept calling me like, "It's still raining." I'm like, "Yes, Daddy, it is still raining." Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you're considering this area, that's one of the things that you need to really think about. First of all, do you have the stomach? You have the nervous system to deal with that. If you have not lived in a hurricane zone, and since it's a coastal area, like it's different from. Well, you don't even have to be in a coastal area if you can see Asheville got flooded. So,
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, I think the best thing is for folks to think about if you're gonna move or buy land or whatever, consider getting it on higher ground so that you can be less worried about these things. But there are places that had mudslides, not in this particular area, but like in Acapulco where the hurricane actually hit. It was like you could see terrible videos of what happened there.
Mm-hmm. So we have an interesting question from Anna. She says, "How do you manage superstitions? When I went to Guatemala, a small village, I was surprised how superstitions are a part of everyday life." We're Afro. We're indigenous Afro people, so I don't know. Superstition is the right word, but yeah.
That. So I think like for me, I grew up in a home that had a lot of different beliefs that some would call superstitious, and so for me, it feels like okay, this is just the thing. Now I think if there's some things that like I will if I can respectfully, if I don't want to participate, I'll try to do so respectfully. So for instance, like there was a guy who kind of wanted to like check how I was doing, and I was like, I'm okay. I was like, no, thank you. Like, and it wasn't, I wasn't disrespectful or anything like that. I just was like, spirit told me to not do whatever he was about to do. And so I was like, actually, no, thank you. And then that was it. And I still see him, and so that I say hi or whatever. But but I think there are other things that like it's so part of my culture. So for instance, like the woman I lived with, she swept my foot one day, and I was like, trying to stop me from getting married. What you doing? Like, I only got a few years left, but that's a part of like the culture. And she was like, y'all believe in that too? I'm like,
yes, ma'am.
Just now? Please don't do that.
Yes, ma'am.
But in good faith, joking around. But I think a lot of it is like very much things that I'm accustomed to, and so it's been fine for me.
Yeah. Even like you talked about how they set up their altars during the celebration. How you might come into my house, I might have something sprinkled in my doorway. You know what I mean? Like so. It depends on what your experience is with different cultures. Exactly. So speaking of that, like, do they have their own form of like what Santa Rita, Ifa? Do they have their own form there in Mexico?
So here, and sorry, it seems like the construction has started. Is it really not noisy in my background?
No.
No? Okay, good. Here they are majority Catholic. Okay. And so that I would say is like the focus here. But you'll see the way that, like, for instance, a belief here is they believe in something that they call tonos. And a tono is basically like, I want to find a better word for this, like an animal that you are connected to. So some people might call it spirit animal. There's a whole bunch of controversy around that word, so I'm not going to say that. Right. But essentially an animal that you're connected to. So for instance, here, a lot of people believe that their tono is our not alligators, crocodiles, or crocodiles. So for instance, like if if something is happening to you physically, like if you're sick or something, they may say, oh, maybe your tono got caught in a net. And like needs to be freed, or something like needs to like with this animal that you're connected to, and it's like one individual animal, not like all of them are your tonos. Is like there's something going on with it, you know. So like that's one of the beliefs here. I forgot why I was mentioning the tonos.
We were talking about different, different spiritual beliefs, different practices, and just questioning about, what they practice, if they practice anything besides Catholicism.
Yeah, that, and then also the dance they do during Dia de los Muertos is called Danza de los Diablos. Now that particular dance is called Dance of the Devil. It's specifically for the purposes of folks believe that it's honoring African god, not sure from what part of African, but Africa, African god called Ruha. And so when they are doing this dance, they are paying homage to Ruha as well.
Okay. Okay, so we can hear you. Your screen is just frozen.
I get lactate. I take lactate because horchata has milk in it. Ooh, is it all right?
Go ahead. We can hear you. You're just frozen.
Am I still frozen?
Yes.
Oh no, sorry. Okay,
it's fine.
Oh, somebody trying to call me.
Okay. Oh, that's what happened.
Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Yeah. So how do I do that? Okay, focus, Do Not Disturb. Yeah. No, I was just saying to y'all that I'm about to take this pastilla because if you're lactose intolerant, that's enough. Mexico, folks. Well, in Mexico in general, folks love dairy and cheese, and so if you are someone who is lactose intolerant like I am, be prepared to have your pills with you. So I'm gonna take this while I drink this horchata and prepare for next week.
and little oat milk and all that other type of milk, you have to go far to get it. You have to get it shipped to you.
Well, no, actually, Mexico was on. No, so they were on the oat milk and the coconut milk and all that for years apparently. Like I have friends that lived here, like have like been here 6-7+ years, and they were been doing the oat milk. Okay. So oat milk you can find, but certain things that they make traditionally, they're not gonna put oat milk in. They're still gonna throw the carnation.
Right. Okay. Got you. Okay. So Anna says that is what she was talking about when you're raised in the U.S. Exactly. Mm-hmm. If it's not the norm, it's considered superstition. Correct. But I would say, well, I don't know. For my circle, we practice all the things. So it's not considered superstition, but for mainstream, it would be.
Yeah.
So what has living there taught you about yourself?
That's such a good question. Oh man, that's a good question. I really got to think about that one.
Well, what would it be? Have you had any transformations, major transformations, leaving Playa and coming there?
Yeah, I think community is like one of the biggest things. I have moments where, and this is like, I think there are certain elements of being raised in the States that affect how I view things and affect how I engage, that I had to unlearn. So, for instance, like space here is, and this is one I'm still working on.
Yes.
Like folks will, so all right, let's say we're all in the bus, in the pasajera. Folks will say, you'll be like, right here with somebody feeling their arm on your arm. And for me, back, being from Brooklyn, I'm kind of like, ma'am, can you not even
I'm OCD. I can't. You can't be touching me.
Like, why are you so close to me?
That's number one. So I'm on the bus. You can't be touching me while I'm on the bus.
Right, and we sweaty and all that, right?
Yes.
And so that's an example. But even outside of that, like folks share a lot here. Whether it's space, whether it's food. Like I remember one time, I was really ashamed actually. I went to the store and we all went to the store. So can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I had to remove you and then add you.
Internet.
It's okay. We understand where you are. We can see you and hear you now.
Hello, hello.
Can you not hear me?
Okay, you're connected. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, so we all go to the store, and like me and one other person buys things. There's a few of us, right? And so, I pop up with my chips, and I'm like, eating my chips, and then a few minutes later, like 10 minutes later, the girl opens hers, and then she offers everything. I was like, oh, like, I felt so bad because I didn't even cut with my mom. I'm like, I'm hungry. I didn't eat. Let me eat these chips. I'm about to bust these things down. And so, like,
you let some people watch you eat them chips.
Girl, and that was like early on and when I first arrived. Now, like, ooh, thank you. Thank you, Anna. When I first arrived, but like, yeah, I was like, oh, okay, like there's an expectation of like that folks are gonna share.
Yes.
And honestly, as welcoming as folks have been, to me that's the bare minimum that I could do is share my chips.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. And now, like, the way that we do things, like I said, in the morning, so this is my routine. In the morning, I have coffee next door. Sometimes I buy the coffee, like we'll buy the big thing. Sometimes I buy it. Sometimes Maya buys it. Something else. And then later on, I cook something. I bring a plate over. They'll call me and ask me, did I eat? And then, bring me something, or we'll probably eat over there. But they'll call me and say, hey, Diva, come and get some food, or hey, can you bring the tortillas? Like, it's just so communal here.
Yes.
And I think that I learned, one, how different it is than the way that I grew up. And also just what community means to me in this context. Like, yeah. I really want to bring a lot of what I'm experiencing here if I ever move back to the US. So right now I'm in like this place where I think I may be going back for a few months. But even like no matter where I go to after, I know you're like, no matter where I go to after, I really want to maintain this like sharing in the way that I've learned to be community. Because like I said, when I first got here, I was like, especially the space aspect, sharing space was probably the hardest part for me because like, I'm from Brooklyn, you need to back up.
And like your living situation, like you had your instead of having your separate apartment, you're living in someone's house.
Right. And then we do things differently. Like, I'm probably a little bit more quiet in the morning sometimes, and she might be more chatty, and just learning how to live in that, Yes. But yeah, I'm very thankful to have learned what community means to me and how I want to be in community with others.
So you said you're leaving, coming back to the States. The reset. I guess you need to reset. Where are you thinking about going after the States? We're going to talk about after the States.
Yeah. So I think I really want to go to Salvador Bahia in Brazil. I just want to test myself. Like, because I speak Spanish and I have never, outside of going to France, I've never really been in a place where I don't speak the language.
Okay.
And so I really just want to feel that like, that newness that comes with like, or that mental fatigue, honestly, who's like wanting to be fatigued, but yeah, here I am. So like, I want to feel that like,
you want to feel that, you just want to feel the anxious anxiety.
Not anxiety, but just like that, that stretching of yourself that you have to do when you're in a place where you just don't know a thing.
Yes.
Like, yes. I think my time in Europe, that was something that I really enjoyed, and like being in Italy and being in France, and even in those places, folks spoke English, but I was trying, even I've always been the person that would try to speak the language wherever I go. And so I just think I want some of that, to go to a place where like, because like even Colombia is another place that I really want to go to. But Colombia and Panama, we're cousins. So like a lot of Colombian culture is in Panamanian culture. It's like literally right next door. They conquered Panama. So like those are the two places: Colombia, Salvador Bahia, which is like the black part of the very, very black part of Brazil, and Peru are the three places that are really top of mind for me right now. But I would say Bahia is top of the list for sure.
So have you? I know you're Panamanian, but have you lived there?
No. So everyone's like, so why don't you just go to Panama? I don't know. I think that
instead of resetting in the U.S., maybe reset there. You still have family there, right?
I do, and my aunt just says that she's in the process of building a house, and she keeps telling me to come. Well, my aunt, I told her, when you get your internet situation figured out, I could come. I'm telling you, the internet is gonna make the decision for me. Like, I really need. Even before I got here, I called people like, because I think I told you, I was like, hey, well, what's the internet like? Because I do need to work. So, but yeah, with Panama, like, I think there's some kind of trepidation. I think with going to Panama, I think that like to some degree because my family's from there, I feel like I have time, but I'm also like people getting old, so I need to go there before. I did do some exploring in like 2018, like when I first started, I got your black and doing the green book work in general. But I think to some degree, I'm kind of nervous of what I'm going to uncover on a personal side there, and so I feel like it's going to be the place that I land at, like more permanently. And so I feel like I'm just like, give me a little time.
Okay. Yeah. When you make the plans, let me know. I'll meet you there. It's still on my list. I've never been there. But I will meet you in Panama when you get there. Yes. If you are here, you have any questions for Diva, let us know. We're going to start wrapping up. Diva, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for fitting me into your birthday week. I appreciate it. Do you have any more birthday plans for this week?
I don't. Oh no, I'm lying. So this weekend we're going to the beach. On Friday, I'm supposed to go to this really cool restaurant. So I do have some plans. But I actually want to go to Oaxaca City. I haven't been since my first year of living in Mexico, and so I want to go to Oaxaca City since I'm so close.
Okay.
So we'll see. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Okay, well, I left this up. She said you are glowing. You have a glow in you, very fresh and beautiful. It's her birthday glow.
Yes, thank you. It's that post-party surprise party glow because I was not expecting that at all. Thank you, Anna.
Yes, yes. Well, I want to thank you again. Let me know when you hit in Panama. If you come to the States, let me know too. But don't recommend the States. But yeah, thank you, lady. I appreciate you. If you want more information about her trips, look in the link below. I got your black. If you want to follow her on Instagram, check her out. Her feed does not do her trips justice, but you'll get a feel for what you can experience on a Got Your Black experience tour, immersion tour. And if you want to read about her, I did write a feature for Essence about I Got Your Black. Check that out too.
Yes, highlight of my year. Seriously, thank you for that.
Love you, lady. Stay on while we say goodbyes. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Oh, I forget. I always forget this. If you like this video, if you are like-minded, if you want to become an expat, if you want more information about traveling abroad, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you. See y'all later.
Bye.